Well, joining me now is the New York Post editor-at-large, Kelly Jane Torrance. Kelly, thanks for joining me. I just played a little while ago in the show here some of the comments from Whoopi Goldberg, where she compared the United States to Iran and said, well, it was much of a muchness if you're a minority group. Now, I understand you have spoken to some Iranians in New York about what they thought of the comments. I can't imagine that they were terribly impressed, but what did you find out?
Yeah, and it's always a pleasure to be here, James. They were actually quite outraged and offended. These are people who have, some of them have been in jail themselves. I published a piece at the New York Post just this afternoon from someone whose father was tortured in jail, and his family has been targeted since he left Iran because he speaks out against this evil regime. And the idea that America is as bad as Iran for black people, as Whoopi Goldberg said on The View, is just insane. And he kind of makes some good points. Iranians kind of wish they could have the kind of problems Americans complain of. Fear is everywhere. You know you're being watched at all times. Anything you say could be used against you, even if you don't say something. They can just have trumped up charges. And of course, there's public hangings of political dissidents to send a message to the rest of the population: don't speak out. If Whoopi would like to really know what it's like in Iran, I'm happy to pay for a one-way ticket for her to check it out for herself.
Yeah, I think a lot of people here would help crowdfund that one there, Kelly. Now, I also want to talk about, too, because I flagged this earlier in the show, the intriguing and entertaining race currently going on in New York City, which, as you know, I'm personally quite invested in, over who's going to be the Democrat candidate for mayor. Now, Andrew Cuomo has a lead over controversial mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani, but the fact that he has done so well and engaged so much celebrity support, he has seemingly questioned Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state, and yet, or perhaps actually not surprisingly, has also been drawing celebrity-studded crowds with the likes of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and all sorts of people on the left. It's been this weird sort of leftist populist movement. What is going on here? Who is this guy? And have New Yorkers lost their minds on the left that this person is even being spoken about as a serious potential candidate?
Well, I have to say, James, I feel like it's really only entertaining if you don't live in New York and are going to be stuck possibly being ruled over by one of these guys. No, but you're right, James. It is entertaining. And Zohran Mamdani, here's a guy who really has hardly worked a day in his life. He's basically has 3 years of job experience. And part of that was as a rapper, where he made $1,000. Another was scoring some music for one of his mother's movies. His mother is Mira Nair, who's a director who I actually interviewed once when I was a movie critic. But he's really hardly worked a day in his life. And it's amazing. Bernie Sanders actually endorsed him for New York City mayor. And that's, a senator from Vermont endorsing someone for New York City mayor. This doesn't happen that often. And the polls still show Andrew Cuomo ahead in the Democratic primary, but Mamdani's been gaining on him. The last poll I saw, he was up 10 points from the one before that. So it is concerning. This guy, he has such policies as he wants the government, the city of New York, which, as you know, is not a very efficient operation. He wants them to run grocery stores in all 5 boroughs. This is kind of insane. You have, some grocery store owners saying, well, if he gets elected and does that, we're closing up shop. But really the best moment came this week. He was in an interview, refused to condemn the phrase globalize the intifada, which of course is a call to kill Jews. And he was roundly, criticized for that, including by someone, some of his allies. And so he gave a tearful address to reporters saying it pains him to be called an anti-Semite. But that's exactly what the guy is. So, you know what? I think you're right, James. It is pretty entertaining.